Welcome back to the Southampton International Boat Show 2022. This week we're having an interview with Highfield, a rib builder that builds nearly 11,000 ribs a year. Every great yacht should have a great tender, and we're here at Highfield Ribs to have a little look at their range and a talk with Steve from Highfield.
As you know, we had our Highfield in the Caribbean and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was a tremendous boat. I have to say, we absolutely loved it. We used it as a car and we gave it so much wear and tear. It was actually quite unbelievable. They do actually have a range of ribs. It's not just the tender. They have the sport range for your larger super yachts, and also the patrol range for inshore work and things like that. So let's have a little chat with Steve from Highfield. So we're here at the Southampton Boat Show today with Steve Harrison from Highfield Ribs, and I understand you are Mr. Highfield Europe.
Well, I'm kind of Mr. Highfield UK, and I help a little bit with the European brand.
So everybody knows that we had our Highfield on our last catamaran, and we absolutely loved it. I have to say, it was the most fantastic piece of equipment we can have. And we had a 290 Classic, I believe. Now, tell us how the tender range has improved since then.
Well, first of all, we really enjoyed watching your adventures with your 290. I'm glad our guys down in the Canary Islands looked after you. And yeah, the 290 is a strong boat. We've built our brand really on our tender reputation, and we know how important the car is for you cruising guys. Without your car, you're a bit lost. So since you had your boat, I think that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
The Classic range has evolved a little bit, so we're now including EVA foam teak as standard flooring throughout the Classic range.
Looks very nice as well.
Yeah, very soft underfoot. It's non-skid even when it's wet, so it's a really nice surface. If you're travelling a distance for your provisions and coming back on board in a slightly choppy day, it makes the ride nicer. We've also widened the bow locker actually, and widened the bow in general, so the bow locker now can take a 25-litre fuel tank, and we've run an opening underneath the deck, so your fuel line can run under the floor, so you have nothing to get in the way of your feet, nothing that you can trip over. It's a much safer surface. And the bow now comes with the option of a bow step or a completely standard bow, depending on how you board or deboard your mothership.
So in the Classic range, which I think is probably the most popular, the second one probably being the ultralight.
Yep.
But what is the actual range? What size do the tenders go from?
So the Classic 260 starts at 260, and then we run up to 3.8. From 3.4 metres to 3.8 metres, we have options for two different consoles. So we have our FCT console, which is the floating console with a floating helm position, so you have your battery under your seat, you have some nice dry storage, and it's a comfortable driving position for when you're doing longer passages. Or we have the new GT console option, and the GT console option is really designed for sort of the larger catamarans, bigger motor cruisers, go in your tender garage, up on your deck for crane storage. And what it allows us to do with the Classic range is essentially supply the same boat, but what we've done is pre-threaded the deck so that the customer can drop in a console of their choice, or of course they can retain the open tiller version of the same boat.
Yeah, we had the open tiller version, but that was because we were in the Caribbean. We were going to be dragging it up the beach a lot of the time, and you kind of want it as light as you can get it.
Yeah, and quite honestly, the open boat is still the most popular, especially when we're talking with our partnerships with Lagoon and Fontaine, and how we supply those big catamaran builders, and more monohulls now. Actually, we're supplying a lot more monohulls. You've seen us with the charter businesses that we partner with, and globally, I think we're comfortably the largest tender brand in the world now, and the challenge for us is to retain that momentum and to keep building on that strength. So
just looking at the history of Highfield, originally this was an Australian design.
Yeah, so the origin of Highfield was Australian, so we worked very closely with Scott Wilson, Swift Marine in Australia, and actually Swift Marine still build a lot of commercial aluminium ribs. And we use Scott's expertise right in the early days to have that transfer of expertise, because it's very easy to build a bad aluminium boat. It's not very easy to build a good aluminium boat, so you have to have that pre-treatment
Aluminium is
process.
a difficult material to weld.
It's a difficult. Not only is it difficult material to weld, but one of our, I'd say our strongest point actually is the way we pre-treat all of our boats. So our aluminium is protected before it's welded, before it's painted, and that has given us that really long life and that inherent strength that everybody's come to know and trust.
And how many ribs do you sell per year then?
Well, this year, the market is in an exceptional period, as you know, with where the catamaran builders are. Yeah. So we're still in this kind of COVID bubble, but this year we'll deliver just under 11,000 boats.
That's absolutely incredible.
And I think, that's testament to the strength of our network, the strength of our dealer network, our ambassadors, our partners, and the way we communicate. We've tried to retain an honesty and an openness right from day one, and I think we're now seeing the benefits of that policy.
And what's delivery schedules like at the present time? Because obviously there's been post-COVID problems and things like that.
Improving. We still have some challenges, as everybody does, but we've consolidated a lot of our production now, and I have to say that the guys in the factory have done an incredible job in incredibly difficult circumstances. For us to be in a situation now going into 2023 in a much stronger position in terms of production timelines, I think is testament to how hard those guys have worked. And they've been through lockdowns, they've been through massive supply chain shortages, and for us to still be able to deliver that many hulls, I think we take our hat off to them.
If anybody wants to know, I'm actually a great fan of it. Our Highfield was absolutely brilliant. We loved it from the day we got it, and it really did serve us very well in very grueling conditions. I mean, we dragged that thing back across the Atlantic with us on the back of the boat, and we had some pretty big blows and things like that. So it absolutely fantastic product.
Thank you very much. And that's we love watching people like you use the things, because we learn from people like you. We get the feedback from the channels that we work with. We get the feedback from all of these world sailing guys, because they use the boat in real world conditions, and very often it's very harsh, massive UV issues, and dragging it up a beach, and squalls coming from nowhere, and we like to see that because it helps us improve our products. And actually, one of the reasons we widened the bow and widened the bow step and increased the size of the bow locker was because of the feedback we received from people like you guys. So it helps us develop our product, no doubt.
Steve, thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
So this is the classic range. We had the 290. Apparently the most popular is around about 3.2, 3.4 metres. But they've really come on in the last few years.
Yeah, that's the difference on the flooring, isn't it? It's just much more. I think it's going to curb more when you slip in the water, isn't it?
The floor's absolutely fantastic, and it's slightly softer under feet. And if there's any little bits of drumming that took place when we were bouncing on the waves, I think I'll probably minimise that. I think it's a great improvement, actually. Yes. And also the bow locker. We had the bow locker on our boat, but it wasn't that big.
No, it was a bit small.
Yeah, and now it's a great size. You can get your 25 litre fuel tank in there for long range work, or like we did, we had a smaller tank, we had a little can in there as a backup, get me home just in case. Yes. It's also, they've improved the hinges actually, because the hinges stuck up rather a long way, and they catch your feet on that bow locker, and also that bow locker stands up, which is fantastic, because ours, you had to hold it up, so it meant you only really had one hand in there when you were doing things. So all in all, I think the improvements they've made are small, subtle, like the slightly wider bow is apparently drier, and I think it's a fantastic boat. I can't wait to get one. Yeah, we're having another.
It's going to be soon.